Hi, hello everyone. Afternoon. So this video is going to be a response to Hassan Campbell. Hassan Campbell was speaking about an individual, Mike Brown's father, who's one of the people who who Black Lives Matter brought more attention to during, many of the protests that we had last year surrounded Black Lives Matter. This was exacerbated by the death of George Floyd, and it brought some more things that have happened in the past to Black people, and also made an attempt through activism to bring attention to the fact that there are many cases you don't know about just because of gaps in the system, media, depending on locally and state occurrences, and police about covering the case up, or it being internally investigated on a state and local level, and it never making national news. So that's the thing. Hassan said Hassan's line of thinking was that the real Black Lives Matter were the people who were actually dealing with it. He was also implying that Black Lives Matter was some sort of organization that wasn't genuine in terms of trying to improve the well-being of Black people and bring attention to some things that may be problems for minorities, low-income minorities, because some people were paid or there are organizations. But if you check my earlier videos, this is my thing. Hassan is unaware of the reality that in order to get effective policy change, you need support groups, you need organizations, you need people who are able to lobby, you need people who are able to use some sort of body. Even though BLM isn't really as clear of an organization as people try to make it, they don't have membership dues or anything like this. When it comes from turning activism into actual policy, you need things like this to be done. Unfortunately, Hassan doesn't really know much about politics, so, and I'm gonna say this because I know what I'm saying is true. He was already someone who believed that he thought Donald Trump was a good president, and then he was fucking thrown out of the loop when he decided to fucking pardon Kodak Black or some shit and not other people. It seems like he doesn't have a clear grasp of how the political landscape is. He's not aware of making an effort to lead to effective change from the political system, and this is why he's able to, this is why when he speaks he's not aware that, like, you're making one step forward and two steps back. So specifically when he was talking about one of the premises that Hassan used was that they're being funded by people like George Soros, blah blah blah. When it comes to Black Lives Matter or any sort of groups or advocacy groups that are responsible for trying to cause some policy shift from an organizational perspective or from a systemic perspective, and having some body or some group that has more connections, that makes more of an effort to get outreach, that is able to use media and shit to gain traction. He mentioned people like George Soros, right? He mentioned George Soros was an individual who was funding BLM. But the way that he worded it when he was speaking about Black Lives Matter being funded by George Soros was making it seem like there were agents, and the intention behind these people were to cause more confusion or just to do things for a money grab, as opposed to not having as much precision as many would think they do, and maybe not having any precision in regards to the effectiveness of them, BLM and all that. I was willing to take what Hassan may have possibly said and break it apart, right, to see if he's charitable. But the reality is Hassan really hasn't been charitable to these people. If you check some of my other videos about Black Lives Matter, what has BLM done and all of this. But Hassan is not aware that Black Lives Matter, the reason why you had even some of these shitty roads or whatever being done, the reason why these things were created is due to a lot of the political activism, a lot of the activism where people were making it, and which also led to Biden implementing racial justice policies. That's a bill that's currently in Congress now. That would not have happened with Mike Brown screaming. That would not have ever happened with some fucking revolution. That would not have ever happened with some revolution. The only reason things like that happened was because there were advocacy groups. Now, let's clear, I didn't really clear up the thing about George Soros and Black Lives Matter. George Soros is funds a company that has money from a bunch of people where they spend money to racial support groups. So they're just all groups that are like Black Lives Matter, but it's not only Black Lives Matter. But what did Hassan say? He didn't say that. Hassan said that George Soros is paying for Black Lives Matter, Tamika Mallory, blah, blah, blah. Which is, it's not a clear, accurate, it's not an accurate description of the varieties of lines of thinking within Black Lives Matter. And it's a movement and Black Lives Matter is a movement. Just because there is an organization that says Black Lives Matter, they do not have dues. They don't have this fucking large CEO. Anybody can just say they're Black Lives Matter. It is not the same thing as actual organizations. It's not the same as actual organizations. So, I don't think that he's aware of, like, in order to get things passed, it does have to change from niggas making YouTube videos. YouTube videos alone don't cause change. So in terms of Black Lives Matter bringing more attention to things, Black Lives Matter did do a lot. About the precision, you can check my other videos for me providing more details on that. But Hassan gave a dishonest interpretation of Black Lives Matter. And when he made it seem like people like Tamika Mallory and so on are the only people in Black Lives Matter, even though they're financially supported, it made it obvious that I don't know why he was under the impression that all these things you can do for money, that you shouldn't be doing for money. Or I don't know what the implication was from that. Because he kept saying paid activists. Here's my question to Hassan. Is Hassan doing all this activism for free? No, he's not. Is it a benefit that he gets paid for it? Yeah. Has he probably done more because of how much money he's getting? Yeah. So what problem would that be with some sort of group that people are spending their time to get support for something to move in a policy where individuals are compensated? Now, there isn't a difference between that and what Hassan does. So, but you know, again, and I guarantee you, when it comes to Hassan and leading to policy change, Black Lives Matter has contributed to policy change more than Hassan Campbell, because Hassan Campbell doesn't even believe in vaccines and shit. So again, in terms of his framework about things pertaining to the Black community, he does engage in lines of thinking that are counterproductive to the movement, in which anti-intellectualism will be exacerbated in the Black community and people will die. He doesn't have that precision, and this is my problem, right? He has good things to say, but then he spins in some weird shit like it's accurate, and it's not. There are a variety of lines of thinking within people who are in support of improving the lives of Black people based off of problems in the criminal justice system with police brutality. Will I acknowledge that Black Lives Matter seems to not really make an emphasis on problems in the more focused in the Black community, like the Black on Black crime? But that is partially because there's so many dishonest arguments about Black and Black crime that come from Black people like Hassan, that it doesn't really help. So from an optics perspective, there's problems with precision from everyone on all sides trying to give a critique of Black Lives Matter, even within Black Lives Matter, and that leads to there being confusion about the effectiveness of groups like Black Lives Matter. These things need to improve. We all need to make an effort to read about this shit. Are there problems in the Black community I won't go on that. Does he made a video about the gang system snatching up kids, right? Black Lives Matter don't be doing this. Black Lives Matter don't be paying attention to shit like that. And it's interesting that it has been only focused primarily on criminal injustice made towards Black people and not about shit like, damn, Black Lives Matter. What about these niggas in the hoods who are killing our innocent Black kids or have to join gangs because these fucking hoodlum kids are bullying kids who are just reading? That is a valid point that he can make. But is it necessary to imply that the actions of Black Lives Matter, even though you may not agree with them, are counterproductive? He needs to substantiate that claim more. And based off of the framework that he's given, he's implying that they're not, and they're paid activists to just get money and not, that's not true. I have another minute, but I'm not gonna say much. You know, check my other videos if you'd like more details. But the problem I have with Hassan is this: I think Hassan, out of all of the people that I know, like Spiritual Soul, Vontu Cut, King Farrah, I think Hassan is the most reasonable person out of these people. I think that he gives very fruitful, substantive information to people and gives them some information to think. Not me, because I've been on this flow. I've been woke, nigga. So he don't give me things to think about, because I've been through this. But I'm younger than him. So I've been through this journey with more accuracy and more intensity through a shorter period of time than he does. So I know what I'm saying is more accurate than what he's saying. But again, I think that he needs to make an effort to read more or have more accurate arguments, because you should make an effort to kill your idols. Because if you get in a situation where you listen to everything Hassan says and it's correct and you think it's correct, then you're gonna be a part of the problem, and you don't want to be. So comment, like, subscribe. Look up my other videos trying to learn things in the black community. I do mention some of these things that I've touched on in this video, but you know, that just had to be a quick response to Hassan. Comment, like, subscribe, share. Hassan, I don't got a problem with you, dog. Like, ultimately, I think you are good for the black community, but you be dodging from smoke. You dodge from niggas really criticizing you. So, you know, this is just necessary. I'm gonna keep using your tags and all that, but one way or the other, you're gonna have to see me. Comment, like, subscribe. GG.